Okay, I have developed two videos, one of which shows you how to use containers where you will place multiple items in each container. The other one will display how to enter items into a container where only one item can be contained, in sense speaking. For instance, if your container is pointing to a country, then there's only one country that is correct answer. Similar would be mathematics. The one we will start off with today will be the one that is going to show you how to enter multiple words of speech. So there will be a box that says verbs, for instance, a box that will contain adjectives, and then there will be a box that contains nouns. And I will show you how to set up the containers so that if the one correct word is put into the container or box, it will be accepted. If it is put into the incorrect one, it will be rejected and it will just kick out. And therefore, your student, as the learner, will see exactly what they're doing incorrectly, or they will see when they've done it right. And this makes for interactive and engaging learning experience. So, with no further ado, I will go on to the part of actually showing you on screen. Now we are going to create a container that has verbs, a container that has nouns, and a container that has adjectives. And this is not because these are the most important parts of speech. It's because this is just a good example of showing how they should work together. So I'm going to show you the end result first, and then we will work towards accomplishing that. So I want the word run to be, obviously we know that that's a verb. Well, let's put it in the nouns box. As you can see, it did not accept it. I want to put it in the adjectives box. It does not accept it. I put it in the verbs box and it accepts it. Excuse the little pop-up there. So as that's accepted, we say, okay, well, let's try swim, see if it does the same thing. Noun. Nope, it's not a noun. Is it a verb? It is. Now, a very common error that is made by those that create containers and containees, your words in this case are containees, is that once you move it into the correct box, you want to test it and say, well, what would happen if I put it over nouns? And I will tell you right now, you're going to have problems from that if you do that. And the reason is your students are not going to put it in the incorrect one once they've put it in the correct box. So the software is not made for you to be testing it around like that, but to test it from here at the bottom and move it up to the proper location. So if I put swim over to nouns, it accepts it because it's already been accepted into one, so just accept it across the board. No, we don't want to do that. So over here on the side, we have this little icon that looks like two arrows, which you may be familiar with that icon, which means to reset, and it puts everything back. Another thing to be very attentive of is this should be blue when you're actually running it. It says design mode. However, if you click on it, this is when you're actually in your editing mode, you roll your mouse over it and it'll say design mode. Orange is actually your editing mode. So I really don't have any special technique of how to memorize that other than simply memorize it. Orange is for editing, and blue says we're ready to go. Anything that works for you that helps you to remember exactly what these are. When you're in orange, you stop. This is when you can edit things. When you're in blue, you're ready to go. Now we're ready to go and put on the show. Going to put it back in orange mode because we're going to edit. Because we're going to start with a brand new screen. That's our edit. So I'm going to say, let's just do a, not a new flip chart, but let's just do a new screen. First of all, I like to give mine a title, parts of speech. We're not going to worry about color right now. Just as you would any other application, highlight, and then there's your color box right here. So parts of speech. Let's say that we're going to go with the nouns, verbs, and adjectives again. Over here, you have shapes. Shapes are what we use to create our boxes. That will be the containers. So sometimes I'll call them boxes, sometimes I'll call them containers, based on the technical terms in your actual application. ActivInspire, these are referred to as containers. So let's draw one. It's very square. I am. Let's change that from square. The width should always be wider than your widest word. So no matter how wide the longest word is, make your box bigger, because the width should be about, the word could fit from about here, where my arrow is, to this point. And if it goes any further, it will tell you it's the wrong word. The reality is it's not the wrong word necessarily, it just doesn't fit. So we have this little beige outline, so I'm going to change it to none, no outline at all. Style, we'll keep it as a solid color. I'm not terribly fond of the green personally, so I'm going to go with something a little bit different. I want a light color because my texts are black, and I want a high contrast. When you're working with children, you have to keep that in mind as well. So I want this to match up size wise to the next two. So I want all three sizes to be identical. So right here I have this icon called duplicate. Click on that and I've got a copy of it. Perfect size, identical. Then I click on this one again. So theoretically, as you can see, you could have enough space, depending on the number of words you have, to do 4 boxes, 4 different parts of speech. In this case, we're going to do 2. You have to keep in mind, have a line or two of instructions up here, and second, to have room down here for your words that you're going to be using. Now, I'm going to call the first one, let's give it a title, and we're going to say this one is going to be nouns. Well, I want the text to be a little bit different than Arial, just because I want to. So I'm going to go with this, and I'm going to make it a dark blue. I can also duplicate this, and I can duplicate this, and I'm doing this just for quickness, and it also will keep the same font and the same font size. You probably have already noticed that I'm doing these in a different order than our original one, so that those are large enough. So what we want to do now, before anything else, is connect this. Hold your Control key to select both the word and the box. Another way of doing this is just making a selection that's invisible. Right click and group. What this does is it makes the word noun and the box move with it. If you're using a Mac, it's Command G. If you're using a PC, it's Control G. I'm going to put in instructions here, but what you can do, you can also consider putting your instructions on a previous page, which also makes it a little bit more convenient for entering your content and being sure that you have enough space. Now these boxes are probably too big because you don't have that enough room down here to have enough words to fit up here. I just like to make large boxes for the sake of making sure that the students, especially younger ones, do not have any trouble getting the words in the boxes or containers. And we'll just do that for the children's sake, or your student's sake. The first thing I'm going to do that I have not done is to save it. And that is Command S or Control S. Now it's saved. You need to do this frequently. Car is a noun. I'm just looking out the window from my office. Tree. Street. Here's 3. I'm just going to do 3 for each. Okay. The car drives by. Okay. The driver is driving. Let's say driving. Often I see students running. And what's another good one for the wheels on the car are rolling. Okay, so I've got 3. Now adjectives. The car is silver. So the silver car. Silver can be a noun, but in this case, it will be an adjective. Round is a shape. So describing something as being round would be accurate. And so it's a clean car. Command S. What we want to do is to give these all an assignment. They are all arranged in this order because it's going to be easier to assign these 3 the keyword noun or nouns. So let's go to the top over here on their left, and we want to go over to where it's in the property browser. You want to go to this. I believe this is the one that looks like a piece of paper. Click on that, and you go to identification. Name keyword. Keywords is the part that you want. So you click on the triple dots or ellipsis, and you add noun. Now I always put in noun and nouns just in case I forget. We've got run, rolling, driving. Okay, so these are verbs. We highlight them, we go over to our keywords, verb, verbs, then okay. And on round and clean are round, clean, and silver. Those are our adjectives. So we go over to our keywords, add, adjective, adjectives, then okay. So all of these words, you go down to container. You can collapse everything until you get to the container part. Container. What can these words contain? They can contain nothing. Return if they're not contained. That should be true. In other words, send them back to this location down here at the bottom that's white if they will not be contained. And that's it. That's all you do. Click off, Command S to save, or Control S if you're on a PC. Now go to the boxes or containers, nouns. So under nouns, we want to say, well, what can it contain? It can contain keywords. That's what we've given it, keywords. We've given each of these words below a keyword. So what keywords does nouns contain? And I do plural and singular for my own safety's sake. Sometimes I'll forget what I named it, if I named it a noun or nouns. So if I put both in, I know I'll get it right. Okay, and this box can contain keywords. Click on this, and I have adjective, adjectives. Verb container, I will say that it can contain keywords, contain words. Verb, add verbs. Then OK. Now on each of these boxes you may have noticed, or containers, that I put in the keywords, but I did not change the return if not contained. That's because it should stay false. Your container is not going to be contained, so it can't be contained. It is a container, not a containee. And sometimes that's an issue that people forget about. So let's hit Command S. So it should be false when you're on the container about returning, and true on the individual items that are going in the container. Okay, so now it is time for us to test what we have accomplished and to see if it works as it should. So over here, as you may recall, the orange design mode is actually referring to the edit mode. So we want to click on it for blue. Blue is the play mode, that's what I call it, which means that you're ready for it to display and to be used in your classroom. Everything should function properly. So, first of all, let's pick something that is not a noun and put it in the noun box, such as run. Okay, it kicks back like it should. Let's put run in the verbs. It stays as it should. So clean is a verb, but we don't want to put it in the verbs. Let's put it in the nouns. Let's put it in adjectives. Okay, so it is a clean car. Clean can also be a verb. You may want to pick words that are absolute in the sense that they don't fit two categories. We have street. Okay, street, is that an adjective? No. Is it a verb? No. We know that it's a noun. Okay, so it stays. Well, what we've discovered is that this works. Always, and I mean always, when you are done testing it, especially when your students are done using it, instead of moving the words out, click on this little refresher icon that says reset page. Boom, puts everything back. Now, one of the things that we've done is we've put all the verbs under the verb box, all the adjectives under the adjective box, and all of the nouns under the noun box. So let's change our mode back to the orange, and let's rearrange these so they're not as obvious. Oops, and let's put a card over here. Now, what we have is a set of mixed words. Now, some people like to do this, put them all closer together, so there's no even suggested association. You've got those words all set up. Now, I want to show you something that is also a issue that comes up. If I click on the word silver and I look over here on the return if not contained, it says true. Sometimes this will change back to, it'll say false, but it is actually true in action. Now that we know that it works, we can save it again. See the little asterisk by the name training? That means it's not saved, so Control S or Command S, depending on which computer you're on, and you are done. You can close it, and that's all. If you need any assistance whatsoever, do not hesitate to call on me. My email address is, I will type that out for you as a matter of fact, so that you can have it. That is my email address. I am more than willing to help you. You can ask your professor, and I believe that you'll be informed that I am always glad to help. Just do not show up 3 days after it was due and ask me to try to revert time. I can't do that. So thank you. That was with a smile. Thank you very much. You have an awesome day. God bless.